Thanks for everyone coming. And today we're going to be talking about really a core building block of Quest strategy and how we've been successful over the years, really branching into different service areas. So one of the questions we always get from our partners is how do I crack into a new service offering, right? A lot of organizations, a lot of partners we work with came from, hardware or software transactions or telecommunications or colo, and they're looking to diversify. One of the best ways Quest has found to diversify into, new areas of operations, new areas of opportunities is through engaging with our clients from an assessment standpoint. So today we're going to be going through our assessment strategy, different assessments that we provide, how you can position them. Some of the knowledge you're going to gain today is really, how to assess where to bring it up, how to bring it up, certain challenges your clients might be experiencing, a little bit around value prop, right? How do different assessments from a tactical or a transformative nature address your client's needs, right? So how do we approach that offering? And then of course, the revenue diversification that assessments can lead you to. The assessment in and of itself is not going to change the game from a revenue standpoint at that specific transaction, but it can lead to a lot of different areas that can have a transformative effect from a revenue generation standpoint. A lot of diversification options there. So we're going to go through engagement strategies. We're going to go through the revenue opportunities and how to get assessments put in place, and then some of the deliverables and what you can expect from these assessments. So, and again, this is core to how Quest has gone to market. There are other ways organizations can go to market. There are other ways to engage clients. We've found very, very successful path is doing assessments, whether the client is trying to understand where they are currently in their landscape, what they have, what they don't have. And it really kind of helps establish you as the partner, as a go-to resource, regardless of what the assessment is. It can be a security assessment, it can be compliance, it can be risk management, it can just be around cost savings. But the first thing organizations need, understanding the whole why would a client engage in an assessment, is it helps establish where they are today. Without understanding where a client is today, whether it's a cybersecurity conversation, if it's a compliance conversation, if it's just, I need to understand the performance of my network, the performance of my applications, the performance of my database, whatever it is, you can't decide what to do next. And us collectively as trusted advisors to our clients and technology, advocates and helping people make decisions, you can't help people make a decision unless you know where they are today. And the assessment practice that we've built helps in a lot of these different areas. So one area around security, of course, you can help them understand current vulnerabilities and current threats. And we'll get into some of the different security building blocks that we use around assessments. A lot of organizations are dealing with compliance and some assurances that they're having to give to cybersecurity insurance providers and their upstream partners. So if they're supporting DoD, if they're supporting any state agencies, if they're supporting any government agencies, overseas, onshore, anything like that, financial services, healthcare, everyone has compliance requirements, and insurance folks are also pushing down compliance requirements as well. So doing an assessment around compliance, whether it's, specific government like, FISMA or FedRAMP or GCCP or anything like that, that can really, help them understand where they are. I hesitate to say cost savings because I hate when you sell on price, or you hate when you sell on, hey, I'll bring me in, I'll help you save 30%. That's such a cheesy opening entry point, but it is a way to help organizations understand where they have overlapping technologies and they can kind of double down on one path as opposed to having multiple service providers or multiple service offerings in their technology stack that can do the same thing, right? There are multiple ways to help secure your email. There are multiple ways to help secure your operating systems. Some organizations may have layered defenses that aren't necessary, right? So you can get a little bit more efficiency and get some cost savings, and you can kind of help your clients. These are the whys that we hear from customers when they're engaging with us excuse me, when they're engaging with us from an assessment standpoint. The other one is, around long-term strategic planning. So we're going to get into some of the assessments that we do are tactical in nature. They help organizations manage and identify where they currently are. A lot of customers are trying to understand where they are right now, but some are for long-term strategic planning, right? So business continuity planning, risk management, disaster recovery, long-term cybersecurity planning. These are strategic plans that, can go out from a cloud migration or cloud adoption or, heaven forbid, a digital transformation. I think that term's been beat to death by now. Initiative. Those can be long-term strategic planning initiatives that assessments can help spark or help get you as a trusted advisor into that discussion. So at Quest, we kind of identify, and this is an old kind of sales approach to the world as far as obviously staying connected, staying in contact, and understanding, what cycle, your client may be in at their current time. The way we view the world, and again, this is the way we view the world. It's not necessarily the only way to view it, but this is one way. If you go back to our first boot camp, you'll learn a little bit more about Quest sales strategy and how we engage and when we engage. But we think that pretty much every client goes through a cycle of these four areas, right? They can be in growth mode, rapidly growing, expanding, acquiring as much as they can to accommodate the growth, rapid expansion. They could be an even keel client, takes their time with decisions, evaluates the options, really relationship focused, not high sense of urgency, not arrogant, they just kind of go through their path or go through their process. They go through procurement, even keel. There are some overconfident folks out there that maybe think that they have, all their securities handled. We had one client just the other day, had 4 different compromised domains rerouting traffic to this is a partner brought us an opportunity for a pretty large laptop acquisition. And this is an example of what I think is an overconfident client. They had multiple, it's called cyber squatting incidents going on where an organization was rerouting their domain to all these other fake domains out there and then trying to fraudulently make purchase orders on their behalf. We got an order for about $500,000 worth of laptops. And the funny thing was they didn't negotiate on it at all. And they just were very specific about the freight forwarding operation. They wanted us to send the purchase through. So we flagged it, took a look at it. It was obviously spoofed out of Lithuania. And so we called that client and said, hey, do you guys need some help with this? We're noticing about 20 different of these attack vectors coming at your domain, and would you like any help? And they're like, no, our cybersecurity team's got it covered. It's like, okay, can't change it. Can't change that situation. They might be in a little bit of an overconfident status right there. Maybe not. But we all got clients who think they got it covered until they don't. And then you got this last little big red bubble here. Every client goes through this. I don't care if it's the Department of Defense for the United States, or, the small mom and pop law firm down the street. Everyone gets into trouble. At some point or another, everyone gets into trouble. So when you're staying in contact with your customers, it's good to identify, hey, what assessment at what level of where they are right now. Are they steady as she goes, even keel? Are they in growth mode? Are they a little overconfident, or are they in trouble? Where do we want to have an assessment? Where do we want to get engaged? There are different assessments for different times in a client's kind of life cycle here. And these are always changing. Again, it's not that one customer is always in trouble. This might only be 5% of the time, but if you're there as the trusted advisor, as the person who can help them when they're in trouble, huge opportunity. Or when they're in growth mode, if you can help them with a long-term planning to help them, save costs over time or be as efficient as possible over time, you build that credibility while they're in growth. And then once they transition into even keel, you have that relationship. So we're all salespeople on here. I don't have to tell you how to sell, but this is how we view the world. And this is how we view things, from when we get engaged. And we have different assessments for different paths and for our clients when they're in these different states. Tactical and tuning can be for organizations that are in growth or in trouble, right? You get in there, take a look at things, give a good snapshot, give them some feedback immediately, and then give them a choice, when they want to get there. Even keel might be a little more of a planning engagement, maybe a little bit more business continuity, maybe a little bit of a longer workshop, a tabletop exercise, really getting in there, investing some time, understanding their business. They understand how, you assess them, how you can help them, all that kind of thing. So a lot of different types of clients out there. Every client goes through these cycles, and we have a lot of assessments that you can kind of plug in to this matrix here as far as staying connected depending on where they are. So, a bit of an eye chart here, right? So apologize for the eye chart. We'll send this out after the after the session today. But these are different types of what we call risk management engagements, where we're going to help organizations understand where they are. So let me go through a couple of them, right? So you have some transformative, process and business outcome focused engagements over here on the left side of your screen. These are long-term planning. This is we're going to sit down with the client, 4 to 6 hours. We're going to go through their entire disaster recovery plan, or we're going to go through their current business continuity strategy. And this is executive sponsored, someone from the C-suite, someone from executive leadership, someone with fiduciary responsibility for that organization is going to sit down with a senior advisor and a consultant from the Quest team. These are non-product facing, non-tactical facing discussions. These are, where are you currently? What is your current cybersecurity footprint? So we'll dig into the cybersecurity workshop, for example. What's your current cybersecurity practice? Very, very general conversations around who's responsible for the cybersecurity within your organization. At the end of the day, when something goes wrong, when a breach happens, who is responsible for managing that response, or managing that isolation, or managing that contingency plan, right? So you get into those questions around responsibility, roles, current technology they have in place, understanding, maybe some gaps or some incidents that they've experienced. What's their industry? What's the regulations? So we go through, it's a very in-depth, 4 to 6 hour session. Typically, we like to do it on site. We have been doing some remote, since, post-COVID and things like that. But these are a transformational business process, and these have an executive summary that's documented and shared with the client based on their specific building blocks and their specific requirements across all of these. Now, these top 3 workshops right here, top 4 workshops, these are complimentary sessions. We do these from a 4-6 hour session, bring in lunch, sponsor it, fly people into our headquarters, or we fly out to their headquarters and do these. The last 2 here, these are what are classified as paid professional services engagements. So a security posture assessment or a full business impact analysis, these are full professional services engagements where you get into every aspect of their security. You do a full security posture assessment. That's endpoint, that's operating system, that's the edge, that's penetration tests, that's the whole gamut. And then also a business impact analysis. An assessment around a business impact analysis is going to give executives an understanding, if they lose certain features of their technology stack, how does that translate to the bottom line and the revenue of that company? What's the business impact if they lose XYZ database or XYZ application or access to this cloud provider or whatever it may be? You can do a full BIA and then document back to them what's the actual impact. So these are transformational. These are outcomes-based focused. And these can be for even keel clients. These can be for organizations that just got out of trouble. This can be for organizations that are in high growth mode and they really want to understand where they are. Moving into some of the other, tactical focused engagements. And Paul, I'm seeing a couple of hands raised. If anyone has any questions or anything like that, or you want to interrupt me at any time, please do. Not sure if people are raising hands because they have a specific question or they want to come off mute or anything like that. But definitely, if anyone's got any questions, please jump in anytime. Sound good, Paul?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay, cool. All right. So the tactical and technology focused engagements are more around a certain technology or a certain point in time, right? So penetration testing, right? An organization wants to understand how vulnerable they are. If a bad actor were to target them, how far deep and wide could that organization get into their technology stack? So we do full penetration tests. Vulnerability scans from an external scanning or an internal IP scan. All of that can be basically generated and generates a clean report as far as, hey, here's your current state, here's your current vulnerabilities, and here's some areas you can improve. We also tactically focus around things like backups and data recovery. If you run our cybersecurity bootcamp like a month ago, you probably heard that majority of folks, when they get breached, that is not the time you want to know if your backups are functioning and recoverable, right? So when we'll come in and we'll do a backup review and a data recovery review tactically of an organization, see, hey, can you restore backups? Are the jobs being completed on time as scheduled? How do you recover across the wire if you're pushing it to a cloud provider? All these types of like simple blocking and tackling. If a client thinks that these things are just going to automatically happen, they can be setting themselves up for some trouble. So tactically focused on specific technology, backup recovery, penetration testing. One that if you're trying to get into security, and partners come to me all the time and say, hey, how do I get into cybersecurity? How do I break into this and start selling cybersecurity? Something that a lot of organizations overlook and no one likes to talk about it, no one really likes to kind of like get involved in it, is just patching. A patching assessment, reaching out to them and asking your clients that maybe you're selling them telecommunication circuits, or maybe you sold them some data center, or maybe you sold them UCAS, or whatever you sold them. Just say, hey, would you like to have a conversation with a trusted supplier around your patching and management of your patching and maybe a better way to help automate things? A patching assessment is a very, very low impact. It doesn't take a lot of your client's time. It doesn't take a lot of their, brain power or mind share, or it's pretty low impact to their business, but it'll set you up as an organization that they can call in the event that something happens when these patches are left unmanaged. So if someone asks me, hey, what's the best way to get involved in a new service? It's to take the jobs that no one else wants to do. Patching is one of those things where not a lot of people like to talk about it. Not a lot of people want to share how many versions they're behind in their operating systems and their firmware and their patches. We love doing patching assessments. It gives a great transition to being that trusted advisor they can call when they need it. So, these tactical, focused, technology focused assessments are fantastic to get involved in. Some of these are pretty advanced and pretty detailed. So, a lot of them are kind of around technology, but some of them are also around specific regulations, right? So we will do full gap assessments, and you can offer full gap assessments around CMMC and around security awareness. And then dark web and reputation, right? These are all scans that can be done. They're automated. They're run once, or they can be run multiple times, quarterly or biannually, or however they want to set them up. Same with penetration tests and vulnerability scans. These are all things, but they're focused on one aspect of the business. Moving from left to right here. network infrastructure, wireless reviews, physical security, audio visual. These are things that we come in, again, they're tactically focused specifically on one endpoint. So audio visual, for example, a lot of organizations are, moving back to the office, moving back to, in person, those types of things, and they're struggling to simplify their AV needs, as well as their physical security. Who's coming into my headquarters? Who's coming into my data center? Who's coming into my office building? How are they, how are we watching? How are you how are you surveilling those sites? These are all assessments that you can get involved in and say, hey, when you're bringing your people back to the office, how are you keeping them safe, right? Or how are you supporting them? Wireless is another that, a lot of people are kind of in the set and forget mode. Hey, we had APs hung in these 4 locations. It's always worked. Why wouldn't it work this next time? Those types of engagements are also something that can. Sorry, Paul. I saw we had a question there.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I was making a list of questions. So Kevin was wondering, are there any sample scrubbed assessment deliverables available for review?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have some. We can share that, Kevin, with you after the call. But yeah, so we have, every single one of these has, and we use different tools. So Quest uses different tools to deliver all of these, and usually the most important thing, like penetration tests, vulnerability scans, or dark web, like over here in this one. The automated reports from the tools, right? So if you're using like a Qualys scanning tool or a Nessus scanning tool, or there's thousands of tools out there, and they're going to do a big dump of IPs and known devices, unknown devices, potential threats, potential different vulnerability levels. The secret sauce for us and the secret sauce for you is in the executive summary. So whether it's transformational, it's tactical, it's speeds and feeds, there's all sorts of pretty graphs and cool things that we can share. But the really, really critical aspect of it is the executive summary. So we put together executive summaries for our clients based on the output of the tools that we use. And we use a lot of different tools to do this. So like a wireless review, for example, we can go on and do a full spectrum analysis on site. We can also do a full synthetic if we have the CAD drawings. All sorts of pretty, you guys have all seen them, the reds, the blues, the greens, all the wireless coverage stuff. But the really important part of that is when you get the engineer to do the engineer and the executive summary to the client, those are critical. So on all of these, whether it's transformational or tactical, those are huge. Application development, this is one that I think is often overlooked within our partner community. But it's also one of the largest areas where their clients struggle to find dependable organizations. It's funny, the largest opportunities we have at our company, from our partner community and from our trusted advisors, are at 2 opposite ends of the spectrum from the IT stack standpoint. Physical infrastructure, and I think it's because organizations struggle to find dependable, consistent delivery partners in these spaces. One is physical infrastructure, right? So physical security, audio visual, wireless, infrastructure on site, cabling, all the IP-based video, all the IP-based services that are running over physical infrastructure, and someone needs to go to a site to pull cable, drop something, anything like that. The other is in application development. So on the far other end of the IT stack is developing the applications, understanding the database, understanding the performance, understanding the API and the security around those API interfaces between different SaaS applications, dealing with the Microsoft and the VMware worlds, like huge opportunity here. And the same people we're talking to in the network world have to support their application teams. So like your network engineer or your IT facilities folks might not have direct influence into their application stack, but they're supporting those folks. And it's a very, very simple question that, everyone on the network team is going to be very happy if you ask the question, hey, do you guys need any help looking at that database? I know everyone likes to blame the network. Everyone always likes to blame something being slow on the network. but would you like some help, reviewing your SQL database or that query that maybe is taking a long time, or if you're in this backup space and a backup on a SQL database is taking a really, really long time, maybe it's not the backup technology. Maybe it has something to do with the way the database is configured. Would you like some help with that? So just asking that question around application development can lead into a lot of huge opportunities. We have one partner right now who brought us in just on a simple SQL database engagement. It's going on 2.5 years now. Massive application development project. Just started out with that partner asking the question, would you like, my trusted partner Quest to come in and do a database assessment, do a health check on your SQL instance, and just take a look at things. So very high level, but these are a lot of fun and a huge area of opportunity. And again, I don't think a lot of the middle market, right? Couple, 100 users to maybe 1,000 or so, they don't necessarily have a good go-to option for application development that they can trust and they know who to call. And I could be completely wrong on that. But that's what we're seeing, is that when they do get involved with our teams and understand, hey, what's this agile process? How do you guys do this iterative, feedback and giving us support on our applications and testing, and then okay, we jump back in the next day and we make the changes, and then we do those, run the agile process in the different Scrum sessions. So we do an agile assessment. We could do a coaching workshop if they're trying to build their agile process. SharePoint is another one. Organizations that are trying to share data and share files and share resources across the organization. SharePoint is kind of like the corporate junk drawer. Some people get it right, some people get it wrong. And these projects, a lot of people need help cleaning that up. Great opportunity. Kind of similar to like patching. No one's super excited about SharePoint, right? I mean, it's a great resource if you get it right. If you build your workflows and your streams correctly and your automation, that's all great, but it can turn into a mess very quickly if it's not managed. It's not aggressively managed and maintained. So same with patching. These things don't go away. These are part of your client's everyday operations. So we come in, we do an assessment, we evaluate, hey, how's your SharePoint built? How's it being managed today? If you notice, every assessment we have, and this is kind of key to Quest and our building block strategy, we don't necessarily care what the end technology is. The approach is always going to be the same on how we address it. Where are you at today? What do you have in place today? Again, I don't care if it's security or database. Doesn't matter, or cloud. That upper layer stuff is noise until you get the other underlying things addressed. What do you have today in your security space? What would you like to see? What are you concerned about? How would you like to get there? How would you like to fund getting there? And then based on that assessment, the same assessment moves happen regardless of the technology. So whether it's application development or physical infrastructure, two completely opposite ends of the spectrum, you're taking the exact same approach to understanding, what do you have in place today from an audiovisual standpoint? Okay, what do you have in place today from an agile methodology? Right? Totally different like technologies, totally different like aspects of the stack, same assessment approach. So when you look at our documents, and like Kevin asked, we'll share these out with you. When you look at some of our scoping, very similar bullet points, very similar approach. But you take out the technology that you're addressing, and you come back to the client with a business outcome based approach, regardless of the technology. That allows us to help in a lot of different areas. We just have to plug in the right resources and the right people who can go through that assessment with the client and then help them get to that executive summary and then work with them through their decision process. So our organization is built to do that. We've been building it over the last 42 years to address a lot of different aspects of technology, but that same assessment approach, where are you at today? What would you like help with addressing? And kind of where can we lead you from here? Works out regardless of the technology. One that we're seeing more and more of, especially, well, the team situation with Microsoft kind of switched some things up from a bundled licensing perspective, but helping folks understand their Microsoft 365 security environment, and how to get their Active Directory, either, I know Microsoft just changed the wording on that. I think they're calling it something else. But how to get those environments appropriately configured. These are fantastic first engagements that probably 90% of your customers are dealing with, either Microsoft 365 or authenticating users on premise or in the cloud. So the other area, one of the main areas from a tactical standpoint that we're having a lot of success with, is our cybersecurity checkup program. Again, these were built based on where we're seeing clients get into trouble. So if we go back a couple slides to what type of assessment can approach all of these, because clients go through all these phases. Again, they're going through growth cycles. They're going to go through even keel. They might be overconfident sometime in their life, and they're going to get into trouble. What assessment or what engagement can apply to a client in every single one of these environments? Our cybersecurity checkups apply across the board, because we've seen organizations in every single phase get breached and come to us in a state of emergency because they failed to manage, maintain, or operate one of these areas. Every single incident response, we run a full incident response, instant containment service. It's a 24/7 service for our customers and for customers who don't know who Quest is. The majority of our IRs are coming in from people who've never met us before. They've been brought to us by partners who say, hey, your hair's on fire. You need someone who can help you recover your systems. I got Quest. Here's their ir@questsys.com email address. Here's their 800 number. They can get resources engaged within a half hour. Call them. Every single one of those, 100%, was breached from one of these 7 areas. Either an email got in, they weren't patched, they didn't have their endpoints protected, their backups were not operational, and they could not recover from a simple malware outbreak that usually could get blown away by a simple, backup restore. Their firewalls were kind of looking like Swiss cheese, right? So they didn't have VPN configured or multi-factor configured. Their DNS and their URL filtering, they were allowing people to go to sites that they shouldn't have been allowing them to go to, and they were downloading malware from those sites inadvertently, right? Not saying anyone's going to any gambling sites or Poker Stars or Poker whatever type of sites that the internet has, but they didn't have their DNS or their URL filtering configured correctly, or their firewalls, someone left an any config on one of the ports and someone found it. So this is 100%. We have not seen any IRs outside of someone drop the ball in one of these 7 areas. And just like you and I got to go to the doctor, you got to go to the dentist, you got to go get checked up, you got to go get, go to your annual physical, whatever it may be. No one's doing this by themselves alone. So we created a cybersecurity checkup program as an assessment where we can go in there and they can either do all 7, right? We can look at all 7 of these. They can pick one, they can pick a couple, whatever they need help with. These are very, very low cost, very, very low impact. Takes about 3 to 5 business days to get the executive summary written up and sent back to them. It has nothing to do with products. Don't care if they're using Proofpoint, Mimecast, or Microsoft for their email security flow. Don't care what they're using for patching. Don't care if they're using SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, Silence, the other 2,000 endpoint protection vendors out there right now, sponsored by venture capital. Don't care. It's all software. It all has to do with how it's configured and how it's managed. We don't care what their backup technology is, if it's Veeam, if it's Rubrik, if it's Cohesity, if it's some, legacy system. How are their backup jobs scheduled? How are their backup jobs confirmed they've been completed? And have they tested them? So we go through their backup reviews. Their VPNs, again, don't care if it's Fortinet, Cisco, Palo, Don't care if their single sign-on is Okta. Don't care. These are all platforms that we have engineers that when they come in and do a checkup, we plug those engineers in, do an executive write-up, give that IT professional back a third-party view of what they're doing today, right? It's a third-party view just to check up what do you have in place today. Very, very powerful. Very, very like you want to like kind of like pound your hand on the table. Like you should really, really do this because if you look at the pricing model, this is not a significant investment from the clients from an end user standpoint when you're looking at actual security features, checkups, and the output. And again, to Kevin's earlier question, you want to a sample write up or want to take a look at what these look like. These are very, very efficient ways to just get a quick snapshot of, what do you have in place today? How can you improve it and get an executive summary and a write-up. So these are, again, every single one of our IRs, I probably notice I'm getting a little fired up. Every single incident we've had was someone dropped the ball and it was a very simple, something that could have been done to prevent a serious challenge for a customer going through an IR or through a security breach. So these are they're offered as a single instance for $775. You can bundle 3 of them together for about $2,100, or if they want to do all 7, we can do $4,500. Basically, to do a checkup of all of these systems, everything that they have from email security, patch management, endpoint protection, backups, how are their remote users accessing, whether VPNs, single sign-on, whatever it is, and then their firewalls and DNS. So huge opportunity. If you're trying to get into cybersecurity and you're trying to like kind of crack that nut with your client, with your customer, a checkup plan. We'll bring an expert in to help talk with you through this. If you want to dive deeper in this, please let us know. We can get these set up for you. These are amazing opportunities to get involved. And when you do this, again, back to everyone's rotating through these different things. You might do this with an even keel customer, right? And everything might be pretty much fine. They may be 90% dialed in. Their patching's up to date. They got a couple OS updates that need to be figured. They got next generation AV on their, anomaly based detection on their endpoints. They're squared away. Bob, their IT guy, has got them dialed in, right? They're even keel. But you position yourself as a cybersecurity asset for them. And maybe when Bob goes away, or Bob has a bad day, or a patch gets rolled out that's a problem, something's going to happen, and that even keel customer is going to transition into trouble, and they're going to remember, hey, I talked to that trusted advisor. They helped me understand my patch cycles. I'm going to call them, or you're going to check in with them and say, hey, what's going on? This is a great opportunity to transition into helping them. Now, it might not day one transition. So far, we've ran this for the last 18 months. We have about an 85% conversion rate to Quest services. It's not a Quest sales pitch. So it's very agnostic as far as here's some different avenues you can have. Here's some different areas we can help. All of our assessments are that same model. Here's where you are. You're on the battlefield. First thing you got to understand is where are you and what's the landscape? Where can you move? The next thing is here are your options and here's our recommendations. 85% conversion of cybersecurity checkup plans to ongoing reoccurring revenue with Quest. That's why if you look at our current SPIFs or anything like that, there's a lot out there. These are very, very highly incentivized programs for us. But again, not telling anyone how to sell or how to run their business, but this is definitely something that we found success in, and we think from a partner standpoint is a great opportunity. So, as far as why to sell assessments, we've gone over this a little bit, but it's the same move across the board, regardless of technology. It's going to help build long-lasting relationships. Some of the relationships that we've done, disaster recovery, business continuity plans, cybersecurity awareness training, these turn into 10, 15-year relationships. You're coming in from an agnostic standpoint, and everybody has their guards up. Everybody has their shields up. when you get on these assessment calls at first. So this, fourth year is as far as building trust. It's not going to be there on the first assessment. You're going to get involved with the customer. If you bring us in, you'll notice for about the first 20, 30, 40, hour and a half, whatever it may be, the deflector shields are going to be up because the client is waiting for a pitch. They're waiting to be told, this is what we think you should do, and this is the technology we think you should buy. And like, we're going to walk in with some vendor's banner and plant a flag and say, here's why this vendor is better than this vendor. That's not the nature of the assessments. The assessments are going to help the clients understand where they are, what tools they already have available to them, and areas that they can transition or areas that they can improve with the current marketplace of technology available. It's not a vendor pitch. It's not a sales pitch. It's basically here's where you are, here's where you could go, and here's what's available to you. And that establishes a lot of trust. I don't have to tell most people on here in some form of trusted advisor or consultant or technology advocate of some sort. Everyone knows that all clients are kind of sitting there waiting to be pitched, and they got their defense shields up. So selling assessments really helps kind of reduce that. And then I love assessments because they're helping organizations sell different services that maybe they weren't involved in before. So one of the biggest areas I've seen for partners is cross-selling, using the assessments that you have available to you through through the channel and through your partnership with Quest to get into other service areas, get into other areas that you may have not helped out with before, right? Everything is touching security these days, right? So security is something that a lot of people want to talk about, but a lot of people don't necessarily know how to get involved in. Assessments are a great way to do that. The cybersecurity checkups are a very easy way to do that, to get into that engagement from a security perspective. But from my standpoint, as far as the top reasons to be selling assessments are around cross-sell and establishing that long-term relationship with a customer. So as far as takeaways from today, again, appreciate everyone's joining. The assessments are going to help your clients understand where they are in their current environment with what they have today. And then it gives them an area, a potential path forward, right? Do we stay with what we got? Do we update? Do we patch? Do we improve? Do we automate? Do we buy something new? Do we refresh? What do we do, right? But you first have to understand where you are. And then it's going to help you as a trusted advisor and as a consultant expand into different areas, and it establishes a long-term relationship. So Quest has been in business about 42 years. We've seen assessments, whether it's disaster recovery or cybersecurity, business continuity, or tactical penetration tests, vulnerability scans, helping organizations with their databases, helping organizations with their firewalls, just understand where you are today. And then they're going to be waiting for the pitch. They're going to be waiting for us to tell them why Cisco is better than Palo Alto or Fortinet's better than Microsoft or whatever. And you gain a lot of credibility when you don't do that. I know, and a lot of partners kind of beat me up and they're like, well, hey, Adam, you need to tell them what's better. Never been successful doing that. So maybe you have, I don't know. But I'll let Gartner and those folks play the Magic Quadrant game. And for folks who want to invest in that strategy, that's totally fine. We don't. We try to understand where they are today, what they have available to them, and what we can help with. So those are the main takeaways, from, we want to make sure that you as our partners. Again, thank you guys for joining today. I'm playing a little bit under the weather, if you can tell in my voice, but again, appreciate everyone joining. Paul, did we have any questions or anything that came up from the crew while we were going through that, or are we going to?
Yeah, so we have a couple questions. These are questions that were submitted prior, but by partners, which I think are important to get to. So, and then we have also some other questions, so we'll get to all of them. First one, Adam, how to sell cybersecurity to my existing clients after 20 plus years as their trusted advisors?
Well, and that wasn't that was not a fake question. That's good. No, it's good. Yeah. So after 20 years of being an advisor, you establish that trust. You're in the room with the people making the decisions, and you don't want to violate that, right? So first rule is don't violate that and overpromise, and underdeliver. So it's a very simple approach, but we've found that just asking for a conversation, just ask them if they would like to have a conversation with a partner that you trust, that can help in the areas of cybersecurity. They might tell you no. They're probably going to tell you no the first couple times you ask. But if you ask a couple times, just ask, hey, would you like to have a conversation? And we send out to our partner community security advisory notices, right? And we use those security advisory notices with our partners and with prospective clients of theirs as catalyst conversations. There's security advisories going out every single week. There's vulnerabilities with this cloud provider. There's vulnerabilities here. There's a patch that's here. There's a 0-day threat here. We use those as, hey, Bob, we just saw this vulnerability. I know you have XYZ in your tech stack. Would you like to have a conversation about how to improve that situation? Just ask for a conversation, and they'll let you know if you're barking up the right tree. We keep it pretty simple there. Ask for a conversation. If you want to position a checkup, those are great opportunities as well, but we usually start with conversation.
Perfect. Next question. I have ran sales teams for the past 25 years. I've recruited, hired, developed, and incentivized sales personnel to be productive. Now I'm on the other side and need to find and qualify quickly. I want to lose quickly if the opportunity is not a fit. So an outline to help this or with this would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a lot.
So
It's a lot.
Well, so we keep it very, very simple. We have 3 rules to engage, and to really get involved with an organization. And it's absolutely right. You want to lose quickly because no one likes to waste time. Clients don't like to waste time. We don't like to waste time. We're all here to help people get things done, and we're a business at the end of the day. So it's pretty simple for us, and don't want to offend anybody, but this is the way we do it. Does the client have a need that they're aware of? You can call that need trouble or pain, but do they have a need that they're aware of? Are they okay working with you? Like, you're not KPMG, you're not Accenture, you're not Deloitte, you are who you are. So do they have prior conceived notions that they have to work with certain vendors, right? So 1, do they have a need that they're aware of? 2, are they okay working with you and your brand? And do they have money? If the answer is no to any of those questions, stay in touch.
Cool.
Yeah, he or she asked for short. I don't know. That's I could talk about that strategy for like 2 hours, but that's the very condensed version of it. Is they have money? Do they want to work with you? And do they have a pain point that they're aware of? There's tons of like public sector. Let's just pick on the school systems for a minute. Tons of public sector school systems who have huge needs in technology, right? They're very aware of it, and they would love to work with a provider like probably many of you on the phone, but maybe they don't have money. So you're running a business. Are you going to spend all your time there hanging out with the local school because you hope maybe they get funded by the government? You could. I'm sure plenty of businesses have gone out of business doing that, but you have to make that decision, right? So that's the no, but there's no's to all those. So just, if you want to qualify quick.
Great. Good. Nice and simple. Real quick, James, thank you for providing the links. And for those who are interested in watching this video later, you can access it on the partner portal. You can get there if you just go to partnerportal.questsys.com. It'll take you right to the Quest partner portal. But right now, for everybody watching, you can win the $200 gift card. We're bringing in Darcy. She's coming in.
I already have the winner.
Oh, great.
Yep. Chad Campbell. You are the lucky winner of our $200 gift card, and we'll reach out to you after the webinar.
Great, Chad. Congratulations.
Yes,
And
Ed.
Adam, thanks again for sharing all the insight. Again, or I says for the first time, we are going to be taking a summer break, but we will be returning with more webinars in the fall, and we're going to be focusing on cybersecurity. Adam, anything else you want to add about that?
Yeah, no, we're taking a couple, about a month or so off, but we're gonna be focusing primarily on cybersecurity. We've got a lot of feedback that folks wanted to get more involved in selling, positioning, and engaging in cybersecurity opportunities, which is great. So we're gonna be digging in deep to that as far as different avenues to do that. So again, thanks everyone for joining today. Really appreciate you spending time with us. And yeah, we'll get everyone have a great summer. We'll be back here early fall, getting going on cybersecurity.
Great. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.